Hello! Today we are going to be typing Emma Watson. As per usual, I'm going to give my thoughts on what I think her type is. If you want to keep your ideas to yourself and not be influenced, then I suggest you come back later after you solidify your ideas. This time around, I'm not going to be giving away Dave and Shan's hint for her. And with all of that out of the way, let's hop right into it. In this first clip, I think it demonstrates that she is more on the thinker side of things. As she is describing these character interactions in the Beauty and the Beast movie, she is explaining the character dynamic not through the feelings and values, but more so how it makes sense to the characters when they are together. It's not about feeling for each other, but actually understanding each other, and I think this gives a good insight into how her brain is operating.
You get the sense of how isolated she is from everyone.
Definitely, and I think that in the end is where Beast and Belle find their common ground, is because they both feel really lonely. They both feel like outsiders in their own world. Belle is kind of trapped in her surroundings, in her village, and Beast is trapped in this castle. And there's this sort of strange mirroring, there's this strange parallel where only when they're together do things kind of feel like they make sense. And that's where they start to really fall in love. They make sense of one another for each other.
So the opposite of the question is...
In this next clip, she talks about specific tribe members. She states their names one by one. If you pay attention, it's kind of interesting how she's processing these tribe members and how exactly they helped her in her eyes. Also near the end of it, she has a really interesting thing to note about taking things personal within her circumstances.
So has there been a woman in this business who has been inspiring to you, who's helped you along? We've talked about obstacles and people not valuing what you have to offer, but has there been another woman who said, here's how you clear those?
For me, I think my big aha moment, or my big feeling of wow, there's this whole cavalry that are coming to my support and women that I can call and try to make sense of things, was more when I became a part of the feminist movement, and it was meeting people like Gloria Steinem and Sheryl Sandberg and Bell Hooks and Annie Densler and Kayla Moran. It's really the women whose books I started reading and then was fortunate enough to meet and speak to, who made me feel that something that a set of circumstances I'd been taking very personally were in fact not personal at all, but actually part of a systematic and much larger and bigger thing than myself.
Do you think things are...
In this next clip, I think there's some very good examples of double observing. They go into the subject of technology and how it can be used for good and for bad. That it can be scary that we can self-monitor ourselves. As you watch her, you'll clearly see that she isn't in a demon state and she's relatively calm talking about all of this control and chaos that has to deal with technology. As you watch towards the end, you'll see her bring it back around to people, and with that I settled on Decider.
I want to ask you about your next project, The Circle, with James Ponsoldt. It's based on another book by Dave Eggers. This is about technology and its role in our lives, how we are sort of constantly surveilled. I mean, we are today. We self-surveil. We tweet about where we are, write about on Facebook about where we are, but this takes it to another level. What does it have to say about life in 2017?
I think that's what's so fun about this movie, is that this is not a dystopian future that's set in 2050 or something. This could be basically tomorrow. I mean, this is kind of an uncomfortably close film about where, if we aren't careful, we could very easily go, in that technology is advancing us and giving us so much, empowering us in so many amazing ways. It's also handing over potentially huge amounts of information, and information is power. I think even more than money, in a way.
Tom Hanks plays a sort of Steve Jobs type
Yeah, he
character
plays this kind of incredibly likable, genius
big brother
figure who, is kind of, he has an amazing way of explaining things that doesn't make it feel like your civil liberties are being taken out of your hands. He's kind of perfect for the role because he's so charming. As so much of this stuff is, it's shiny and exciting, and you turn on your phone and you get this big dopamine hit. It's really addictive.
Do you find social media to be empowering, or do you find it depressing? And
equal parts,
despairing.
Depressing and terrifying, and equal parts empowering and thrilling. I think that's the key, really, is bearing in mind I really draw a super conscious line between what is public and what is private. And that has kind of helped me maintain a certain degree of sanity, because having people weighed in and give an opinion on absolutely everything about me would just destroy me as a human being. I would not be able to, I would just be a shell of a human.
Like people are criticizing.
In this next part, I think it is a great example of her being in an actual demon state. As she is talking about and trying to process other people's feelings, she starts to really slow down. When she starts talking about her own understanding again, she starts to get a little bit more relaxed, but then goes back into the demon state as she continues talking about the emotions. Then after that, she starts talking about the feeling of being unwelcomed, how awful that is, and how she has experienced that feeling herself. To me, I feel like this is part of the IP fears, the fear of getting kicked out from the tribe. I think some of the sections at the end of here also show her being a little bit of a play savior, and also maybe savior intuitive.
We're dealing with like life and death stuff.
Right, I know what the answer to this question will be, but do you feel comfortable with me using female toilets?
Oh my God! Oh, of course,
But
I would.
Does that depend on me having had surgery?
No.
What would you say? I don't want to dwell on this for too long, but what would you say to those people who would have an issue sharing a public bathroom with me?
Oh my goodness! I would say that's another human being. How can you? I understand fearing what you don't know. I understand kind of being like, oh, I don't really understand about this, and I've never met someone, but go and speak. Go learn, go speak, go look into the whites of someone's eyes that's had this experience, and tell me after you've done that you do not see or feel their humanity or understand their story, or that like there's any part of you that feels that it's okay to make that person not feel included. It's making people feel not included, I think, it's just such a painful, awful thing to do. And it has such big effects. I guess I'd ask them, have you ever felt that you weren't included?
Yeah.
Have you ever felt yourself not welcome somewhere, not invited?
Have you felt like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see you're emotional.
Yeah, I have.
In what circumstances have you felt like that? It must be quite lonely being at the level that you're at, because I know you've got good people around you, but they can't fully empathise. And I know that you'd be the first person to acknowledge that there's lots of great things that come with your lifestyle, but it must be lonely.
It can be, but again, I do the exercise I'm doing here with you now, with this other person, and we've even done it during this conversation, which is people say to me, I can't imagine, and I go, maybe not in that specific way, but you can imagine in other ways.
Yeah.
And it's the same for me, it's the same for you, it's the same for whoever this imaginary person is that I'm speaking to now, which is to say, you might not have experienced this in this specific way, but you will have experienced it in your life in some way. And you will know how that made you feel. And do you want to perpetuate that? Do you want to make somebody else feel that horrible, horrible feeling inside yourself, that someone telling you you're not welcome, you don't belong, you're not included, we don't want you here?
Yeah. I grew up feeling like that. I grew up feeling that I was...
This next example, I think, displays play quite well. When she is experiencing the imposter syndrome, where does she go to? Instead of going into herself, she went to go talk to other people.
Met her and...
Oh my goodness, she's the dream. I did this speech for the UN for this campaign that we launched called He for She, and I had like a massive case of the imposter syndrome, because suddenly I was like, me coming out as this feminist was kind of, and I was like, okay, wow, anyway, the imposter syndrome hit hard, and I was kind of like, I need to go to some people who've been doing this for a while and talk to them. And
so you went to the top?
Oh yeah, I was like, okay, I think I need to go and find Boris Dynam.
Okay.
And it was just a really helpful conversation, because she was just so loving and accepting in terms of kind of everyone is where they are on their learning journey. As long as you're doing the work and you are actively seeking and pursuing understanding and connection genuinely from a curious place, then you're going to be fine.
I know.
In this last clip, I wanted to showcase some evidence of why I think that she is probably Blast last, even though that normally she talks really well. This is the best example I could find of the bird chirping. While typing her, it's been pretty hard in general to tell if she has been an energy dom or an info dom. I think Blast last fits best considering the double activation and everything else. And remember, can't talk is just an anecdote.
Before you got the role, you read the books, you were a fan already of the books, weren't you? Those that have been out by that stage. How many times did you audition to get the part?
They found Dan very late in the process. He never actually kind of, he didn't kind of go in for auditions. He was kind of a friend and whatever. Anyway, so kind of they were trying to find the right Harry to go with. I think they had Rupert and I in place earlier on.
So they found you already?
They found us, and we kept auditioning with lots of different potential Harrys. So I did 8 auditions, maybe 8.
Wow.
Something like that.
With different, but you knew you had the part already when you were doing those auditions.
No.
That must have been just quite an awful ordeal then, in some way.
It was like my life for like 3 or 4 months. I was just wanted it so badly.
And were they seeing other potential Hermiones, or were you the only one?
Actually, they were. I remember being devastated coming into the studio and seeing another little girl who had actually been in films before, and I was like, oh, I'm never going to get it. She's had previous acting experience. She's it's all over type thing. My dream is over. And to make matters worse, she was playing cards with another Harry. Right. I was like, oh my God, they're making friends already. I'm definitely not going to get it. So by the time I got to my audition, I was just in pieces.
I know what you talk about, and that Dame Judi Dench is a bitch. She can play young as well.
And that is all of the clips I have for today. My final guess for Emma Watson's type is double feminine, TiNe, consume, play, sleep, and blast last. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about my guess and what your guesses are. It has definitely been a weird one. Originally, I was thinking that she was probably SF, with lead FI. But I hope I am correct, because she will be the first normal INTP on their celebrity document. But yeah, being right to stroke my ego doesn't hurt either. Anyways, I guess we'll find out tomorrow. Until then, bye.
And did you feel that you sounded like the character, that you embodied the character? Did you picture yourself as the character when you were reading the book?
Now that I've made the film, when I read the book, I see myself as Hermione. But before it wasn't even in my wildest dreams.
So what happened when you learned you got the part? That must have been the thrill of your life, right?
Yeah, it was, I couldn't believe it.
And what did the other kids say at school? Why you? Why you, Emma Watson?
Because I'm worth it.
So,
I guess she told you.
yeah, this is a major...